Welcome to Unbiased and On the Fence. Sorry for the short intro for you guys just hopping into here, and I'm super excited today. Today we bring back Buddhist author Von Galt to talk about the power of our Merkabahs. Von explained in previous shows the science behind sacred geometry in our Merkabahs, and in her recent book, Buddhist Mandalas, Explore Parallel Realities with Sacred Geometry, she explained how many sacred geometry symbols in many world religions speak about the same thing, which is that we are all energy. And, as energy beings, we are souls having a human experience on Earth. Today we are going to have some fun with our journey of awakening, ascension, and shifting further into the fifth dimension with Earth. Von is introducing the $1 trillion spiritual challenge. I hope you guys are ready. Game on. Let's play.
This is going to be so exciting. I have, thank you again, Shane, and everyone in the Mandela Effect community. I love you all from bringing material. And so we're going into uncharted areas here. We're taking it, when you're ready, we're going to level you up. So I think you guys are ready for the $1 trillion Merkabah challenge. And for new people who are coming in and just stepping into this space, we'll fill in some blanks for you as well, so you can get caught up. But basically, yeah, so I really like to kind of start the game with kind of like The Price is Right, but for copyright, I'm just going to do the intro. So here it goes. Dun dun da da. Dun dun da da. Dun dun da da. Da 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 da. Dun dun da da. So that's our game show intro. But so let me introduce the $1 trillion challenge for high frequency individuals here on planet Spaceship Earth. And and this is going to be like next level. If you are really into your spiritual development and take it all the way, you and your Merkabah, you might actually have the $1 trillion value Merkabah. And anybody can have it. It's just a matter of working on your inner self and raising your frequency. And if your frequency is high enough, you might have the magical voice that opens up a $1 trillion treasure for India.
Wow.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's a big tall order, but no one on this planet so far has been able to open up those magical doors to this one temple that has $1 trillion suspected fortune because their Merkabah was not high enough. And lucky for us, I've spent the last 20 years studying Merkabahs and the science behind it. So I explained that in previous presentations in the book that you just introduced. And there's 2 more books that will be coming out as soon as I'm done making them as well that go further into this as well. But so far, no one that I have seen in this space actually able to put the pieces together to explain what is needed to open up this $1 trillion treasure door. So I'm going to explain to you what it is based on my understanding on the clues that are written right in front of you all over this temple. It actually tells you what it needs from your Merkabah to open up that magical vault that has $1 trillion fortune behind it.
Wow.
Okay.
So the Merkabah is something we all have, right? It's this energy filled. It's like the ship for our consciousness. I guess some people think of it that way. Is there any better way of explaining it?
That's basically it.
Okay.
Your Merkabah is your energy's light body. It is your energy. It's your aura field. It's your chakras. It's your soul. It's your, whatever. There's so many different words for your Merkabah. In Buddhism, they call it your Buddhist Mandala. Judaism, they call it your Merkabah. In Hinduism, they call it your Sri Yantra. In Zen, they call it your Yin Yang energy. In Native American, they call it your whirling log for the spinning wheel that the
Mm,
master teacher comes,
yeah.
or the controversial word swastika.
Right.
It's
Another hijack symbol.
another hijack symbol,
Yeah.
unfortunately, but it's very, very old and ancient, and it basically is that energy field around you that every single person has. And I've proven the science behind it in my book, Buddhist Mandalas, book one. But that is your Merkaba. And that is your physical scientific evidence that every single person living on this planet and other planets and every sentient being in creation has an energy field. And that energy field can either evolve or devolve depending on their inner spiritual work and their level of consciousness. So as they awaken to the greater reality that they are a spirit or soul having a physical experience as a human here in this case on earth, that this whole reality is basically a game for the consciousness as they realize and have that awakening that they are someone that has realized that they exist in a holographic reality
Right.
that is responding to the commands of his user, which results in conscious creating both individually and collectively. And so that is the basic premise. So you have your awakening, and then you start having your Mandela effects, which is what many people in this community have, which very very simply. And I've had a couple interviews where people challenge me on Mandela effects because Mandela effects, personal shifts in one reality versus another, which, Shane, you did a wonderful job in your book, Mandela Effect, Friend or Foe,
Oh,
based
thank you.
on,
Yeah.
yeah, based on, the commercial logos changing and what people, all these collected people remember one version, but it doesn't exist in the reality that they're in now, which is the physical evidence of consciousness of millions of people who have no skin in the game and don't know each other, have vivid recall separate from one another of the same thing that does not exist in this reality. And it's not just that, but it's also, as we get further into awakening and level up our energy or ascend in our
Hmm.
energy, we also have our own personal Mandela effects, where things that you remember in your personal life is different than before. I actually do QHHT through the Dolores Cannon method. There's plenty of wonderful practitioners on the website dolorescannon.com, and I have clients come in trying to make sense of their Mandela effects, where they had a tattoo on one leg and now the tattoo is on the completely other leg, and they're going, "How does this happen?" And so I had to explain to them all this wonderful information through Buddhism that I know of and apply it in this modality to explain to them that their consciousness, they did something in their reality that changed and did some inner work. They leveled up their energy, probably by removing an abundance blocks or something that's pulling down the energy. And their consciousness raised up a level. And so it shifted to the next parallel reality that is higher frequency that matches them. So the consciousness traveled from reality A, where they had the tattoo on the right leg, to the parallel version of their body in reality B, where they actually decided to make the tattoo on the left leg. And that's why the tattoo's on the left leg.
And that
And
would follow how other people have reported, like, I had a scar on my right leg and now it's on my left. It's like you just got injured a little bit differently than before. And, Angela, one of our viewers who does massage on people, she's reported several times that, she's talked to somebody about a new tattoo, but it wasn't new, or one that's changed because she notices them. And so, yeah, so either that person shifted or she shifted into another version where that person had a little bit different tattoo or something. So,
yeah, and that's also a fun game for the consciousness to play with your friend to be like, well, which version are you and which reality
right.
did you come from? And, kind of play a little, you know, peekaboo hide and seek with
Yeah.
consciousness and reality. So it's like it's like falling in love. Like try to explain this to somebody else. You can read all the books and you can study what it's like to be in love, but you really it's still not real to you. And then you fall in love for the first time, and then it's real because you have firsthand experience and nobody can tell you any different. And that's exactly it. Your personal Mandela effect and the changes in your reality is like your firsthand experience of falling in love or falling further into the fifth dimension or into a different parallel reality.
Hmm.
So, just in short, you have your awakening, you're working on your ascension, and you're working on leveling up your frequency. And as you level up your frequency and your level of consciousness, your Merkabah, that energy field that you are,
Hmm.
because our bodies are just our sims for the game and the role that we play within the game.
Hmm.
But your Merkabah is the same Merkabah lifetime after lifetime if you choose to reincarnate into one reality versus another, et cetera, et
Or even
cetera.
after you die and in between lives and stuff, right? Isn't it something that's
Exactly.
it's
It's
like the
your real
real
body.
you,
It's
right?
the real you is
Right.
energy. The real you is energy. And so that's why when you go into past life or future life or life between life regressions or hypnosis through QHHT or BQH or any of the other modalities that are out there, you're going to have all these different lifetimes where your sim has changed. You've become a man, you become a woman, you become black, you become white, you become handicapped, blah blah blah. The list goes on. The the roles and the storyline may have changed that you're playing into,
Hmm.
but you in order to go to the next experience, uh, if you creative karma,
Hmm.
unbalanced issues between different people, when you come back, that's why lifetime after lifetime, you still work on the dense issues so that you can overcome it, not create it again, and then move on to creating better things for you. So lifetime after lifetime, what you really are is your Merkaba. And they've proven this in science. So I just
A
want to
quick
premise,
question.
yeah,
A quick question with that. Do you think when we capture some of these orb photos, those are spirits? Those are actually Merkabahs, and they're just spinning so fast they appear as an orb, maybe?
yeah, because we are orbs. We just
Right.
happen to incarnate into a physical body. But there are energy beings in the spirit that never incarnate, like your angels.
Hmm.
You know,
So they can appear like a little orb, but they're much more than that, of course. But that's all we perceive in the 3D, I guess, right?
yeah, yeah. And there's plenty of YouTube videos. I had somebody actually send me a YouTube video because she captured a spinning Merkabah, an energy orb that spins a Merkabah in the same exact description that was written in my book. That's why she reached out to me. And it was changing colors, it was changing size, and she had it on YouTube. And it's like that's a Merkabah, that's an energy being. You are an energy being. You just happen to incarnate into a physical body, and that one didn't.
Wow. It brings to mind some of those super slow motion cameras that, they'll show something hitting a watermelon and it exploding in super duper slow motion. Wouldn't that be cool to capture an orb on there where you can slow it down enough to actually see the geometric patterns kind of forming and spinning? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because I think
Mhm.
it's just happening so fast it looks like an orb to us. But if you could slow it down, if you could reduce the frequency to what we're used to in this 3D reality, then you might be able to see it, kind of transposing into making it where we can see it. That's
Exactly. And that's a difference in density. In order to go into lower dense realities, they have to slow their energy field and slow their spin.
mm-hmm,
They have to lower their consciousness, they have to lower their energy field. And that's why oftentimes, like, even when people have near death experiences, and they talk to people on the other side, or even if they talk to quote quote aliens in higher
mm-hmm,
dimensions, they always say the same thing. It's very hard for us to stay in this communication because we have to lower our frequency, our Merkabahs, so far down in order to have communication with you because we're so far up here in terms of
mm-hmm.
energy. So it's all about energy.
And that
And
reminds me of Bashar saying he has to actually meet them halfway
mhm.
to have the wonderful connection that he has, and where he's able to channel them so clearly. He's kind of got to, they taught him to raise his frequency so that they don't have to drop so far down.
Yeah, and they're still dropping really, really far down in order to just get to a baseline
Mm-hmm.
to communicate with you.
Yeah.
So you're doing all this work to raise your frequency, and they're still dropping down. But luckily, as I will show you in the presentation, we have entered the fifth dimension, and we're going further into the parallel fifth dimension. And so Earth is actually helping us raise that frequency so that we can get to those higher levels and make those communications much, much easier with beings of higher dimensions, like quote unquote aliens or your angels. You know, your neighbor actually might be your angel in disguise, but they never manifested in your reality because you were low frequency until you get to a higher frequency, and all of a sudden you have a new neighbor and a new house in your neighborhood that wasn't there before.
or,
So
or or something else I've heard about is coworkers kind of falling away all of a sudden. You know, those lower vibe coworkers. So hang in there, you guys.
yeah, definitely hang in there. And again, as we have proven with the Mandela effect community, you're not alone. Even if there's plenty of people that you talk to in your circle, whatever, who, maybe not have the type of experiences or haven't had enough personal Mandela effect experiences. It doesn't matter because, like we have proven over and over again, there are parallel realities and there are parallel people.
Mm-hmm.
And when somebody in your family or your friends are ready to raise their level of consciousness and raise and ascend up to the higher levels of energy, they will all of a sudden pop into the higher parallel version of themselves and
Mm-hmm.
go, "Oh my God, Shane, has this always been around? This is new to me." And they're gonna kind of freak out. "Oh, I've been waiting for you to get here."
Right.
And they'd be like, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I denied the whole thing. I'm so sorry, but I need you to help me adjust." And you'll get that. You'll get that where people are like all of a sudden pop into their higher version of themselves in a higher reality and need some adjusting. And now the person that they were kind of poo-pooing is the only person they can work with and talk
Right.
to about adjusting. So hang in there, everybody. We're all going to make it at some point. It's going to be a bumpy ride for some people. So
Yeah, that is funny how, you don't hear from people until weird stuff starts happening, and then all of a sudden you're the person they call, right?
you're the person they call, and you're like, "I don't know, you really poo-pooed me, and really, really was not a pleasant experience." So you're gonna have to really get on my good graces on this one. So, but it's fine. And this will be experienced in every single one in the Mandela effect community as we go further into the fifth dimension and more mass awakenings start happening because the higher energies will force people into mass awakenings. Everybody's going to be called on to help somebody. So, so just hang in there. I actually had a Mandela effect yesterday, my personal one. My husband and I went to a restaurant that we enjoy for a lunch date, and we were just there about a month ago having lunch because they opened up 20% capacity in the restaurant. So we were just there having pho like a month ago. And we go in, it's the same gal who runs the place, and it's completely closed off for dine-in, just pick up and delivery. And we say, "What happened? Did they shut you guys back down? Did you guys have to go back to phase one?" And they're like, "No, we've always been shut down. We've never opened for dining." I mean, we're like, no, we were just sitting there. You served us
Right.
our
When did that
food.
happen? Okay, so that's funny because I experienced the restaurant shift in the same time period.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was about a month ago.
Oh my God.
We had checked two locations of a restaurant here, and one of them opened at 9. So we decided to go ahead and go to that one, even though it was a little bit further of a drive,
Mm-hmm.
instead of waiting until 11.
Mm-hmm.
So we went there, we ate. It was, it was fine and everything. We went to go like a couple of weeks later, and the sign looks as if they don't open until 11, and the sign was all wrinkled and stuff, like they haven't opened, since they reopened, they hadn't opened before 11. So
Yeah, so same time
same
frame.
thing. Yeah, same time frame. That was about a month ago.
That was a month ago
Yeah.
for us too.
Yeah, yeah.
It was so funny. And the lady's looking at us, and we're like looking at her, and my husband and I look at each other, and we're like, we got our food, we got in the car, and we're like, did we go up in the reality or did we go down?
Right. That's so funny. I wonder that too. I always
You're like,
wonder that too.
how is it that we're going? Oh, is this the lower reality?
Right.
And he's always like, well, there must be somebody in our sphere of influence that we're trying to help pull up. And so I'm like, okay, I'll take that. I'll take that one. I'll take that one.
Right.
But we're like looking at each other going, parallel people.
Yeah. But it could also be, it could just be you moved, it could be a parallel movement, right? And they
Yeah.
just happened to not open, they decided not to, and nothing was really worse or anything. They just, I
It
don't know.
was just another version, another
Yeah.
version.
Just another choice made a little bit differently, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So we were like, what did we do differently? So that's the game that people in the who have reality shifts or
Right.
parallel realities where they're kind of like, okay, do we go up? Do we go down? What decision do we make different that change our energy to go to this one and change the trajectory? So we kind of like played a little bit of, roll the dice a little bit. So
Right.
that's another game.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
look
but
at it as momentum, though. I look at it as change is momentum. Momentum is expansion, and it's movement. It's momentum. So I look at it as a
yeah.
good thing. Change is good.
Yeah, I've had people, I don't know if you had this. Well, we're gonna get into the $1 trillion challenge, people, so it's okay. But I've looked at, I mean, so we've had that. I mean, there's lots of parallel realities for this whole pandemic and a lot of parallel outcomes, and I am shifting and noticing these nuances, and that was the most recent one. That was yesterday. The other one that I have noticed is time slips, where you look at the clock and all of a sudden 3 hours go by. You just blinked. And so I've seen people who have messaged me because everybody throws this stuff away until they have their personal experience, and then they're looking around for anything. And so I've had people, since I started doing these interview circuits, would message me, I got something to story tell you, I did this time slips, and then all of a sudden I was here and then I was here. Or I I thought I woke up like I normally wake up, and then all of a sudden I lost 4 hours of time. I don't know what happened. I just watched the clock, and it literally went back 2 hours. I just blinked and went back 2 hours. So there's a lot of these time dilation that's going on right now, and that's tweaking people out.
Hmm.
And the most of them are in the space. It's really waking them up, or it's really accelerating the process of ascension to the fifth dimension. So there is some merging, there's some diverging of timelines. There are people who pop in, there are people who pop out. It's going to sort itself out, but just be fluid with it. Just kind of like the restaurant thing. It's like, oh, okay, you're closed today.
Right, right. Just play along. You're like, oh yeah, yeah. Of course, you've always been closed. You
I've had people who like the restaurant's not even there anymore.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the restaurant's not even there anymore. It's been vacant. Nothing's ever been built in that spot.
Yeah, or
So,
seeing a sign change, but it doesn't look brand new, but it's different and it still looks worn. Like it's always been that way. I've noticed a few things like that that are kind of
uh,
strange. You know
yeah,
what
I have noticed that while going to a place, I'm just kind of like, they're like, "Can I help you?" I'm just kind of like,
I mean?
just checking.
Right. There's actually two things before we get to your presentation I wanted to ask you about because it's been going around and I like to get the word out about it, but it's extreme anxiety that just comes on really strong, right? And it's for some people it's in the head, some people it's located around the heart. Just feeling that extreme anxiety. The way I've experienced it comes on really quick, and I have to take some conscious breaths, and it almost goes away just as quick as it comes in. It's sort of like you're just transmuting that energy as it comes in, or something. I don't know what it is, but the deep breathing helps, the conscious breathing, and just taking a moment. And like I said, it's been even my daughter. I've had other people sending me emails. It's happening from people in their teens all the way, into their 60s and 70s. So it's not like an age thing. It's clearly something going on with the energies.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, that day that I think it was April 4th that they had the worldwide meditation.
Hmm.
And there was a visible spike in the Schumann resonance. It
Hmm.
actually went to, I think went up as high as 110 hertz from 7.83.
Wow.
So I mean, she really responded to that one. But yeah, the whole pandemic has, because it's a worldwide event that's happening around at the same time with everybody in different ways.
Hmm.
Everybody's really connected, and we're sending out all this anxiety and the stress and this frustration and XYZ emotions, and everybody's feeling it at this time. So it's disorder. We're just feeling
Hmm.
it. My neck I go to the chiropractor like every week now,
Yeah.
like a massage and everything else, because my neck has just been going crazy. Every single time we have a collective, I call it a collective riot, or a collective protest, my neck goes crazy. So everybody's anxiety is surging through the whole ethers. And so we're all feeling it. We're all feeling all of the.
Well, what I noticed though that I think is important for people to notice, if you're already sort of anxious about maybe money or whatever it is, I mean, we all have times when we're nervous or anxious about things. If you're already experiencing that and then you get hit with this, then you can sort of feel like it's your own anxiety coming
Mhm,
on.
mhm,
And
mhm.
that's really the thing I want to get out there to people is to realize, because unless you're centered and like, you have no reason to feel anxious, but and then
Right.
you get hit with it, then it's obvious that this is external coming in. But if you're
Yeah.
already in that, resonating in that, and then you get hit with it, oh my gosh, probably panic attack time, right? Because it's pretty intense.
It is very intense. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, very, very good distinction. If the anxiety you're feeling has to do with your potential job or the bills or your own personal
Hmm.
issues or things that you're dealing with in your life that
Hmm.
came on, then definitely work on that and try to find ways to kind of, go to nature walks. It's really easy. Take the dog out, go for
Right.
long, extended nature walks, or whatever modalities of meditation that really helps you kind of calm your nerves. Exercising helps for a lot of people, et cetera, et cetera. But if you don't have any of those things going on in your life, and for the most part you're pretty stable and you still feel that, then it's the collective.
Right.
You're feeling it in the collective consciousness.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Or you might be feeling it in the collective of your personal family and friends, and
Hmm.
you're kind of empathic and you're picking up on their energy.
Right. Which can happen, especially when we're all locked in the house
Oh,
together. I know some people are like that.
yeah, yeah. I know,
I've
I
heard
know.
stories, you know?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So whatever way in which it comes in, the anxiety and the panic and the really immense depression about life. Because I'm a pretty happy person, but sometimes I'm like, I'm in this funk and I feel really sad. Like, want to cry. I don't know why, because I have nothing to cry about. So
Yeah.
you can feel that too. So whatever the energy comes on to you, um, find your method of releasing pent up energy, whether it's meditation, art, gardens, going to sleep, nature walks, whatever it is that gets you into that gamma wave frequency,
Hmm.
that's going to really help you out, because it's not for you to internalize these energies, because they turn into sickness in the body. So, release those dense energies and let it go, and so it
And
doesn't
you can
build up.
actually transmute that anxiety into excitement because real similar feelings. It's just sort of your state of mind when you're experiencing it. So,
Hmm.
like we were talking about wanting to hoot and holler before you go live because you got all that energy and you're just ready to do it, and you can feel it. And I don't know. It's just, and it's just like it's a positive thing. And you can take that other energy and transmute it into something exciting and good
Hmm.
feeling.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. Okay. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
We're ready to do this, aren't we?
Yeah, let's go into our $1 trillion Merkabahs. Okay,
Awesome.
all right, so I am going to share my screen.
Pull that down. Okay.
All right. So, do you see my screen here?
Yep.
All right.
There, it just popped up. Perfect. The trillion
Okay.
dollar Merkabah.
So, the name of the game is, do you have the $1 trillion Merkabah? So let's get into this challenge. It's the ultimate challenge for spiritual people.
I need some sound effects.
You should make some sound effects. Dun dun dun. You do okay, yeah. Yeah. Every time I get done with one, you do the sound effect, and then I'll roll into the next one.
All right. I'll be
Okay.
like your Vanna White. Okay,
Yes,
we got
yes,
this.
yes. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna actually do that back again. All right, go. Okay. What is the $1 trillion challenge? So take a look at this, people. This is the challenge. There's $1 trillion hidden inside a vault in this ancient Indian temple. And the reason why it is gold all over is because the makers of this temple um, actually covered it with gold. So all of the exterior is solid gold.
So intricate and beautiful.
Uh-huh. And basically this temple is called the Sri Ananta Padmanabha Swami Temple. So I'm going to kind of, so if you guys look at all those different images, okay, different images, they have the clues on how to get into this $1 trillion magical doorway written all over the decoration of this temple. So as you can see, you have giants statues, and you have smaller statues in doing different things. You have a lion's face right above the doorway at the bottom center. So just keep that in mind. We're going to go into that. And no one in India has been able to break the code as to how to get into this $1 trillion fortune that this family takes care of. So the
Wow.
yeah, and it's magical because when the sun hits it, it's all a gold covered temple, so it really shines through.
Yeah.
But the Sri Ananta Padmanabha Swami temple, the temple is basically a Hindu temple that is dedicated to Lord Vishnu, and it's located in the Thiruvananthapuram, Kerala, India. So I might get some of these names not perfectly accurate, so forgive me. But basically, the shrine is currently run by a trusted head by the royal family of the Travancore family. And the principal deity, which is Padmanabha Swami, he is enshrined in the Anantha Sayanam posture, which is the eternal sleep of Yogi Nidra on the serpent Anantha. So basically, he's in this eternal sleep. So the takeaway again is they built this temple a long time ago for Lord Vishnu. And over time, different empires would come through and they would provide gifts and offerings to Lord Vishnu. And they would often be in the form of gold. So this is how they acquired so much money. The other thing about this to notate is this is a 16th century Kerala temple, again located in India, and it used to be the royal chapel of the Travancore's former rulers. However, the oldest treasures date back to 200 BC, and the treasure that has accumulated for thousands of years. They don't really know exactly how old this temple is, but it is the richest temple in the world. Also, the Travancore family and the country of India, they opened 5 of the 6 vaults that are inside of this temple a couple years ago, just to take inventory of what's inside. And they found $22 billion worth of gold treasure inside. And that's only 5 of the 6 vaults that they were able to open up. So what does $22 billion of treasure look like? So
That's
here's some,
it. That's what they found right there.
that's what they found.
Wow.
And there's more. This is only just a couple of it. But Dr. Aja Kumar Verma, he detected small cavities and drains around cellars that they found insignificant. And Chamber B is not part of the temple's official treasury. So the holy chamber that houses the idols of gods and many other valuables to enhance the potency of the deity that this temple was built for. In an inventory list on August of 2014 from the looted Vault A, it noted that the chamber still contained over 2,000 pounds of gold coins dating back to around 200 BC. And the valuables are believed to have been accumulated in the temple vaults over several thousand years and having been donated to the gods by various dynasties and kings. So that's how they accumulated a lot of this stuff. And so they found lots of coins from different dynasties. They found bullion. They found lots of jewelry. They found this statue, completely gold statue of the deity that they made this temple for, and amongst a huge list of stuff out of those 5 vaults that they opened up to take inventory.
Do you know how big that is? Is that like life size?
It is life size.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is kind of gives you an idea of the $22 billion treasure that they found. And again, they found that some of it was potentially looted, and they still had that much. What they also found was a gold chair for an 18 feet tall giant.
Oh my god.
Like, that's a big chair. So that kind of goes into the mythology of ancient peoples being giants and the ancient rulers and lords being giants, which actually goes into another book that I want to get back into, which is pyramids, megaliths, and tribal folklores of Lemuria. So as soon as I'm done with the 3-volume set of Buddhist Mandalas, I can finally go back to that one. But this is a very interesting connection there, because this is a completely gold covered, completely gold, not just gold cover, a completely gold chair. And it was meant for whoever this temple is made for his size, supposedly. So that's one of the biggest finds that they found there. And also, what they also found was, again, with this golden throne, it was adorned with hundreds of diamonds and fully precious stones meant for seating a past giant that, again, would be 18 feet or taller. So, because they inspected the ins and out and everything else.
I guess you don't know how much that chair weighs, do you?
No,
Oh,
I don't think
okay.
they have to crate it with like huge equipment to move that thing
Oh, I bet.
around. Like,
Yeah.
that is huge. That is a huge find. That alone is worth an unknown amount. Um, but so that was Vault A. That's the 5 chambers in Vault A within the Gold Temple. So Vault B is where the mystery lies, because Vault B is sealed by sound waves. Okay, and this is some of the images that was released of Vault B. I'm not sure if they're the exact image or not, but this is what was released. So this is the door that goes to Vault B. And when they inspect the temple um, on the underground chambers, and that's how they noticed that some of the treasure may have possibly in the past been looted from Vault A and those 5 chambers that they were able to account for. There is no way into Vault B in the under level passageway. So there's no way in. So they looked under the temple, side, up, down. It's completely sealed out. And when what is interesting, what the challenge is about Vault B is unlike any other doors, and they inspected this pretty good. The country of India and the Travancore family, there are no welding marks. There are no bolts, no nuts, no cracks of any kind that can indicate a way to wedge in and open those doors. Okay, it is completely sealed by sound waves.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so then you're probably wondering, why don't they just bang it open? You know, bang it open, pry it open. The reason why they don't is one, they do not want to hurt the temple walls by prying into the vault. Okay, so it's still precious to them. It's a national monument, so they want to make sure it's still intact for the architecture and the
Hmm.
history. And the other thing is that the people are fearful that if they open it manually, it will unleash the worst catastrophe to the world. That's the
Mm.
mythology. So, they are suspicious about that. So, since nobody, and the mythology that has been passed and the folklore that's been passed down the generations in this area of India has been exactly that. Don't go into the temple. You're going to unleash the worst catastrophe to the world. So what? That's why they waited so long, and then a couple of years ago they decided, okay, let's go and just take inventory of Vault A. So that's why they don't manually pry into Vault B.
Hmm.
Okay. In the folklore that's been passed down the thousands of years and generations about this precious doorway and vault, is that the safe way to open it is through reciting a mantra. Okay. The safest way, again, to open this Vault B that was passed down through folklore is that down the generations is to have a sadhu, which is an Indian word for someone who is enlightened
Hmm.
and of high frequency, that has the powerful voice that
Hmm.
can recite the Garunda mantra chant, which supposedly the voice of a highly evolved, enlightened being in this dimension, saying this chant supposedly has the power to emit a sonic vibration that opens up the door chambers, kind of like sesame.
Right. Yeah, I was just wondering that. Has anybody tried to sing Open Sesame and see what happens?
Open sesame. Now, before I go into the next one, because there have been many yogis that have tried and failed,
Hmm.
and this is why I said this is where this is the $1 trillion challenge that will make you or break you and see how spiritual you are. So if
Hmm.
you have robes, or if you have a certain spiritual title or religious title, if blah blah blah, however spiritual you think you are, prove it.
So let me ask you this: if you do, you walk up to it, you sing a little song, it opens up, it's all yours.
Woo! Well, it's the Travancore's family. You will actually help them out, and you will
Right.
help the country of India out to be able to open up this magical doorway, safely.
Hmm.
So, if you
So,
do
so,
have
so,
that,
so, I mean, it's a catch-22 here, Vine, because what
uh-huh.
I see here is the only kind of person that would open that is someone that would be on, ego, and the only reason that anybody would want to open it is for ego, right?
Not necessarily. Somebody who opens it would open it up for the Travancore family, and it's possession of the Travancore family. And if they choose to, they can use that money to help the impoverished of India.
Hmm.
So it opens up the potential solution to help the people of India out of poverty.
Well, that's so funny because Silver Moon just said that. Too bad they don't use that money for the poor people in India. So many poor people there.
Yeah, yeah.
Silver Moon, go open the door. You can do
Go
it. You
open
can
the
save
door.
the people of India.
There you go. There you go. But again, it would prove again that everybody. has a different energy signature and a different level and power in their energy. So it would prove the Merkabah. And the whole point of this whole game of physicality, souls incarnating into physicality, is to play this game of life in creation and eventually work your way up to the final doorway where you let go of the game of creation and you go into Nirvana. And many Buddhists will say Nirvana is that empty state of consciousness, of the emptiness of spirituality. It's the eternal slumber.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that 0 point where there's no high, there's no low. It's just this eternal blissful slumber that you just feel.
Mm-hmm.
And very few souls will completely release ego and release their addiction to coming back to play the game, and whatever game it is, whether it's being a fifth dimensional earthling or being an alien at Andromeda or whatever game out there that they want to play. Very few souls will want to let go of the whole game
Mm-hmm.
and go into Nirvana. So that eternal sleep. And that's where many avatars like Geshe Ben Yosef, Tara, Buddha, etc., Kuan Yin, when they do, they go there. They go to Nirvana to
Mm-hmm.
reabsorb with the consciousness of the Oversoul. So that's the Buddhist philosophy on that. So here's the thing. Before I go to the next one, I want you guys to notate the clues. Okay, the clues.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at the image, okay, you have the dragons that go around the door.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and those are fifth dimensional dragons. We've seen that plenty. Kuan Yin likes to, that's her chariot of choice. Okay, and then if you look to the artwork and the image on the right with the yogi,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the same thing, but if you look way above where the two snakes or dragons kind of like revere, there's a mandala there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's a mandala, and if you count those points, there are 8 spokes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, kind of like 8 different spokes. That's sacred geometry. So notate that. That's an 8 spoke mandala.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Okay.
so that's what I've noticed so far.
Now the window on the left of the image on the right, the that archway, is that a palindrome word there? It looks like Spartan or something. Is that a word or is that just another coiling snake on the archway?
On the archway, it's a coiling snake.
Okay.
So so this is the images that released the dragon or a snake on the doors, and
Mm-hmm.
then definitely a huge anaconda, um, or dragon on the columns.
Let me ask you this really quick. Is the tail the snake? Is that all one beast? Is like the tail of the dragon the snake head? Is that spiraling down the column and becoming the snake at the other end? Is that all one?
Like if it's a two-headed snake, that's one.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I
It
don't know.
looks kind of like it could be the same one. But
It could be.
okay.
It could be. Um, the I'm not really into snakes per se, but Vishnu was really into snakes, and in India they're really into taming the snake. It's kind of like a challenge to tame the beast.
Mm-hmm.
Be
Yeah.
the beast master. Like you're so high frequency, you're so high energy that even the feared snake or
Yeah.
anaconda will
Yeah.
be subservient to your energy.
Mm.
So it's kind of like the Beastmaster challenge. So
Right.
that's the big thing about snakes in this iconography.
Cool.
Okay, let's go to the next one. So many monks and yogis have tried. They have tried. Okay, so what you see here is this is Sri Narendra Modi, and he's a highly spiritual yogi from India who, like many before him, have failed to have the Merkabah to open the sixth door. Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the man doing the praying. And so what many yogis do instead is they would just have a blessing or just kind of prayer to the temple that maybe someday a highly enlightened person will have the Merkabah to say those magic words and open the door. So they just they send lots of positive energy and prayer. The man on the right, the other yogi there with the signs on his forehead,
Mm-hmm.
that's TP Sunragan, and he initiated the legal battle for transparency in preservation and protection of the assets of the temple. So the temple again is managed by the trust under the Travancore royal family, and the Travancore royal family, they had a little battle with the country of India for total ownership of the temple and its assets, because it was always in the royal family's estate to protect and caretake this facility. But then the country of India decided they might be better to be in a state of the country. And so they went through a legal battle, and literally, I think it was this month, the Indian Supreme Court uh, ruled that it still belongs to the family and all its assets. So it's a big win for the family. Um, but many, so that's the gentleman, the yogi that won and started the legal battle to. You know what? We have this golden temple. It has all this folklore. Let's go into the temple and let's take an inventory of what's inside. Let's take an inventory and make sure that we have what we have. And that's how they came into the $22 billion of treasure that they found on those 5 vaults, and learned about the temple, that there are caverns that go into the other vaults, but there are no caverns that go into Vault 6, that it's completely sealed by sound waves. So that's how they discovered that, was through this yogi and his efforts with the family to take inventory. So again, many yogis have offered prayers for a safe opening when a highly spiritual teacher opens it with their voice. And again, so far there have been no sadhus or enlightened high energy people or person so far who have the powerful voice to recite the Garunda mantra chant that emits the sonic vibration that opens up Vault B safely. So the challenge carries on to everyone. I'm just getting a little bit bold here. The challenge goes on to everyone in the Vatican, all monks in all faiths, all nuns in all faiths, all priests in all faiths, all spiritual people who are working on their awakening, ascension, and development into a higher energy. The challenge goes on is, do you have the $1 trillion Merkabah that can help them out?
So they know for sure it's a single person, because Kate brought up a pretty good point here. What if it's a group thing? What if it takes the right,
That's a good one. Maybe. Why not?
right?
It you just have to have
The
the
unity of it, maybe.
yeah, you just have nobody knows the what the sonic frequency, what it is, but if it were, because people have gone up to it and recited one mantra to another mantra, one Garunda mantra to another Garunda mantra, and different people have tried, and it just looks at you and doesn't do anything. So like, I'm just gonna send it a blessing and move on. So they've tried, and they tried chants, they tried different things, and you can actually go to the temple. It's actually open to the public, to view. So you can go to the temple, and you can go and view the temple. And I don't know if you can actually go to Vault B because of that, but if you make enough of a case that you might have that you're highly spiritual enough, and you might have the Merkabah that can possibly open it up. I'm sure the Travancore family would be willing to listen and hear you out, because so far, no one's been able to help them. So why not you? So many yogis have tried and still try. So this is, again, a challenge for really highly spiritual people in the fifth dimension. This is the ultimate challenge so far.
So maybe our next UOTF get together in 2021 needs to be there.
That'd be so much fun. Everybody just line up. It'd be funny if you say open sesame and opens up. It'd be
Wouldn't
hilarious.
it be the greatest?
I mean,
Just,
like,
that's just how
dang,
it works.
Shane, you're the Vishnu. That would be great. So more clues, more clues. And again, no one has been able to put the pieces together. So I studied the artwork, because I've been studying Buddhist Mandalas for most of my life growing up and the last 20 years for this book. And so I'm very familiar with Merkabahs and Mandalas. and I look at the architecture, because that's how you, oftentimes in ancient times, literacy kind of happens sometimes in certain cultures. Knowledge doesn't necessarily always get passed, and keep. And so, what I have learned from the monasteries growing up is that a lot of the tribal folklores and the history gets of the culture and knowledge gets passed into tribal folklores, which gets typically depicted in artwork in temples, which they revere. And so you have this old artwork in different temples that have a lot of knowledge. You just have to know how to read the art. And that's how I read the art of Buddhist mandalas, that we're all Merkabahs growing up. And then, of course, last 20 years found the science to prove that everyone has a Merkabah and we're all souls having a human experience. So get over your Sims.
That's why I like the whole idea of the Mandala effect, because it is sort of like that. It's making you aware. For many of us, it woke us up to the fact that we're more than we thought.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the interior gives us clues. So there's mandalas on the ceiling. So
Yeah, I see those.
if you look, you have to know what you're looking at. And when I started looking at it, I'm like, right there and right there. I was like picking clues all over the place, and some of my Indian friends are like, "What are you talking about?" And they're like, they don't get it. I'm like, oh, saw that. I know about that, saw about that. So, but now everybody can get caught up. So mandalas in the ceiling, and if you look closely at the mandalas on the ceiling, there's different, mandalas, and we know that mandalas are basically Merkabahs. And if you go on the ceiling, if you go, I think one from the one on the very top, the biggest one, and you go down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the fifth one down, that's
The one
the
that's more
word.
like a diamond shape with the
Yeah, it's more like a diamond
yeah.
shape, but it's actually kind of like it looks almost like a swastika, a rainbow swastika, but
Oh, yep, yep.
it's basically rotation. It's the whirling logs in Native American tradition.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely see that now.
Yeah, it's a whirling log. It's just it's like the rotation of the master is a whirling log. And then if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the eighth one down to the smaller one, if you look closely, it's the infinity symbol.
Yep, I see it.
Yeah, you guys got to really, really look at the clues. We're
Yeah.
being treasure hunters here. It's an infinity symbol. So the mandalas on the ceiling of this ancient golden temple, um, these they didn't put decoration up just for fun. These are clues. They didn't put all this effort. These are clues, and these mandalas are the different um, beings or depictions of their energy signature. Now, here's another clue. So we know, like, okay, you need to have a Merkabah, a high energy signature to open up the vaults. If you look at this atrium and you look at the columns on both sides, the really massive columns, like this temple was made for giants, okay? It's not made for normal people. These are massively tall columns. And you look way to the very end of that, you'll see the people are standing at the end of this pathway. Their height is the height of where the tan
Right, the little
is,
wall on the
little
lower
walls.
section.
Yeah,
They're not even at the base of the columns, really.
yeah, exactly. Not even at the base of the column. This temple was made for giants. So, um,
So we would be at their knees, it looks like,
yeah. It,
basically.
so we're giving you clues. So if you look at the columns on both sides, and you look up, at the top of each column are gold lions.
Okay, yeah, I see those.
Okay, so look really closely. On the top of each column are gold lions. That's a clue. So keep that in mind. So they made all this effort to put the clues right in front of your face. So the ceiling decorations, again, are, as we repeat, they're Buddhist mandalas or Merkabahs. I already went over the whirling log image in one of the Merkabahs, like you see in Native American iconography, and the infinity symbol. Now, I would love to go and look at this temple and just inspect every single one of it as much as possible, because I could probably pick out clues like nobody's business. But there's a basic idea. And the clues, again, they point to needing a Merkabah. And the lines on top of each column says that it could possibly need a teacher's Merkabah that has the lions at the end of the column. So keep that in mind. So these are clues. This is a tribute to high frequency people. So let's go to the next one.
Just a quick thing. I'm imagining vocal cords of an 18-foot tall giant would probably be a lot different than our vocal cords. Is it possible we need somebody with this thundering 18-foot tall voice to?
We need Hercules or
right.
That's hilarious. Possibly, but the thing that we know about sound research, it doesn't matter the size that you are, because you're thinking third dimension. Physical size, the energy field of the person is what matters. And and we know in science, especially with the map of consciousness by Dr. David R. Hawkins, that babies come in with a certain energy field already, whether it's at 400, 250, whatever. And so everybody comes in with a certain level of energy, but because we all get born into the game of Earth and everybody's leveled with the amnesia, they don't know how high frequency they are. So, but there are ways in modern times that we can find out how spiritually developed you are, so that you can work on your spiritual development and maybe have a $1 trillion Merkabah.
That'll work.
That'll work. Okay. All right. The exterior. Remember the first image that I had of the whole temple, the outside temple?
Right. You're zoomed in now, right?
I zoomed in because I was like, I love Indiana Jones. I'm like such a
me too.
I love Star Trek and I love Indiana Jones. I'm such a treasure hunter. I wanted actually to be an archaeologist, and I was going to go to the University of Arizona to be an archaeologist. And then I found out that all you do all day is dig dirt and catalog, and it was not like the movie. So I said, forget it. But I still love it. So I had some fun in Indiana Jonesing, because all he does is sit there and study murals and pictures and whatever. So, anyways, I zoomed in and got a high pixelated image of the exterior, and the front and the back of the temple is the same statues, because the back they didn't clean it up as much, so there's a lot of moss on the exterior, so it's not as shiny and gold as the front of the temple. But it's the same architecture. It's the same statues. So I zoomed in and I looked at every single statue. And it tells a story. It tells a story about creation. It tells a story about the game of life, the souls play. It tells a story that, there may be giants that live in this time with them. On and on, that whole stuff. But what I found interesting also was this image on both sides of the temple. And I zoomed into this image. So it's kind of grainy that you're seeing, but what you're seeing is it looks like either a man or a woman with one leg up, and it has multiple faces coming out. So it has like a main face, and then it has two other side peripheral faces, which is very normal in Hindu artwork and in Buddhist artwork, to represent the multiple parallel realities that you exist in, and the multiple versions of you in each reality. That's what it means.
I love that. I didn't notice that until you pointed out. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's your Mandela effects. So the art that is in these ancient temples, whether it comes from Buddhism or Zen, or the Vedas or Hinduism, that have these representation of highly evolved spiritual beings having multiple versions of themselves and faces, and then all the multiple arms that come out, represent the Mandela effect. Okay, so they have known this about shifting parallel realities based on your level of consciousness and energy field for thousands of years. And
So
Buddhism,
that's not, those aren't wings then. Those are actually arms
those
sticking
are
out.
arms.
I see. I
Yeah,
see.
like in Thailand and Laos, they have shows where they have women just kind of, Kuan Yin and her 5,000 arms and whatever,
Right,
and
right.
her many faces and the many realities that she goes through to help people raise their energy field just a little bit before she moves on to the next, leave a little residue of positivity. So that's the representation. It represents the Mandela effect. It represents you working on your inner work and your spiritual development, raising your frequency and energy level of your Merkabah so that you can move from one parallel reality to another parallel reality, from one version of your body to a hopefully a better version of your body in a higher reality. And then further and further, you kind of quantum jump between realities. And they have known this um, in the literature of Buddhism for almost 2,600 years. And Buddhism is an offshoot of Hinduism from the Vedas. And the Vedas, based on the material, is up to about 7,000 years old. But if you study the Vedas and the Reg Vedas, the astrology in the story can be argued to be as much as 26,000 years old, which goes into the ancient pyramids that around the world that can go even farther back into 20 plus thousand years. So we're going really into kind of so far back in our records, and these are the clues. So I don't want to get into the other book, but this image is also on the other on both sides. And so what it points to, if you study each statue on the exterior photos, and you notice that the gods and goddesses who navigate parallel realities, um, it's signifying that what is needed is a fifth dimensional Merkabah. Somebody who has a fifth dimensional Merkabah, who is aware of their personal Mandela effects, aware of how to navigate between parallel realities, who is more conscious in the game that souls play in the physical. That's what is needed. That's the clue that this statue on the um, temple walls is saying. That's because that's what it says in Buddhism and in Buddhist art.
Is
Um,
there any significance to? Because I've seen it quite a bit where one leg is up like that, like sort of chilling.
it's a meditation, and it's really hard to see in the grainy because one of his hands down and the other one is actually holding a meditation pose.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can't really see that.
Yeah, it's really hard
But
to see. But the statue, one hand is holding a meditation pose and the other hand is down. Okay, he's kind of holding meditation pose. Now, I don't know if that's a clue as well, that when you say the Garunda mantra chant, you're supposed to do this meditation pose of your hand or not.
mm-hmm.
Might as well try. But that's what that statue is doing. And a lot of statues of Mandela effects in Hindu and Buddhist artwork have the master teacher doing some kind of pose. So actually, my book Buddhist Mandalas, I have Kuan Yin doing kind of a pose with her
Yeah.
fingers, which is the pose that she poses is to ward off evil, which is basically ward off ignorance, which is the biggest evil to humanity, is an ignorant thought process. Um, but that's what the statue is doing. The other thing that you should note about this clue is that the highly enlightened being is sitting on top of an 8-spoke platform. Okay, so if you look at the platform, there is a lion at the end of each spoke. Okay.
Oh, I see. So it's like it's laying flat and he's on top of it. So there's the one, two, three, four, five. So we can see five of the lines, correct?
Yeah, we can see 5 of the lines, but the
Of
ones
the
on the
poke.
outside of the
Yeah,
spokes, and the ones on the outside are actually center points. So it's actually 3 on front, 3 on back, and 2 on side. So it's 8 spokes.
I got you. Yeah.
Okay. So remember in the previous slide of the hallway, they're adorned with lines on top of each column,
Mm-hmm.
lines at the end of the spokes, lines at the end of the 8 spoke. In
Right.
Buddhism, we call it the 8-spoke wheel of Dharma.
Mm.
Okay, because a lot of our artwork comes and it's influenced by the Vedas that it was influenced off of. So
Mm.
keep that in mind, people. That's some clues for you. So you have to have a fifth dimensional Merkabah, and also know about how to shift parallel realities, because you're going to have to shift into the parallel reality where the door opens.
You know, something interesting that came to me is how so many of the statues have changed that we were aware of. Like the Thinker, that was a big one for me. And the statue of Shiva outside of CERN, people have reported they noticed changes in that. So I'm wondering if perhaps people who have studied this temple for years don't realize that some of the stuff has changed to sort of unlock more of the secrets about how to unlock
Mm,
the door, maybe, you know, and they just didn't go
maybe.
back to look again, you know?
Yeah, go back and look again because a new clue might be revealed because
Yep.
you might actually, I mean, that's a really good point. As you work on your awakening ascension, level up your energy, all the way up to Buddhahood,
It's going to be
um,
changing.
it might change for you because
Yeah.
you might get into a parallel reality, shift to a parallel reality where more of the clues are available in
Hmm.
these higher dimensions, which should help you out. So, sacred geometry
Hmm.
is your Merkabah. Okay, so Dogen, which is a Zen Buddhist master teacher who taught Zen Buddhism in Japan, actually had a really great quote, and he basically says, "Do not follow the ideas of others, but learn to listen to the voice within yourself. Your body and your mind will become clear, and you will realize the unity of all things." So, what he's basically talking about is as you become more enlightened and as you spiritually evolve more, the third dimensional things aren't really going to meet your satisfaction as much. Your enlightenment is because now you're playing with reality so much more cohesively. So I was actually just talking to somebody who had NDE experience, and he actually went to Nirvana. And he was like, "How come I didn't experience the spirit world like everybody else?" And I said, "Because you're not from the spirit world. You're from Nirvana. You shot out from Nirvana to help Earth you know, to help Earth's people ascend to the fifth dimension by helping raise some people's frequency." And so that's why you left there. And that's why nothing in this physical reality will ever meet your experience of nirvana and going to the spiritual emptiness with oversoul. And there are souls coming. There are source code souls, and we call them in Buddhism Toku children. They're source code souls that came
So
from
just to clarify,
source.
Nirvana, is that source?
Yes,
Okay,
it's
okay.
yeah. So it's like just really brief, and I don't want to get too esoteric, but when the universe, the oversoul, the universal one mind, Allah, whatever you want to call it, when it decided to give itself the biggest gift of experiencing its own creation through splitting off into all these different facets of itself, into all these different souls, so that they can have their experience and learn and grow and evolve and etc. And then the universe is inside everybody. That's the universal one mind that science has proven is inside everyone that I talk to and you talk to in hypnosis. It is experiencing your development and also your amusement of experiencing creation firsthand through you. So it's experiencing firsthand through your experiences, and in order to create. So let's imagine kind of like this void, spiritual emptiness, where there's really no high and lows. It's just kind of like the sound of the Lord is basically silent. Creation doesn't really have, or nirvana doesn't really have anything. It's like an eternal sleep. In order for when it split off into all these different facets, in order for it to have a physical reality in which souls can incarnate into and have this experience of life and learn and grow, it had to create the polar opposite of physicality. It had to create the non-physical world, which is the spirit world. Okay, so you see that yin yang that's in creation.
Yeah.
There's always a yin yang in creation. There's always the light and the dark, the up and the down, the physical world and the non-physical world, the spirit world. So the spirit world was created at the same time as the physical world that souls incarnate. So when souls pass on, they go back to the spirit world. Do you want to incarnate again, or do you want to go to the void? And some souls get tired of the game, or they don't want to play the game anymore. with creation. They let go of their addiction to creation, and they go back to 0 point. They go back to the source code, because nothing in the spirit world and nothing in creation is going to meet their needs as much as the spiritual emptiness of nirvana with the oversoul. So that's a
Okay, so
basic understanding.
okay,
So,
so just to clarify this, so we kind of got our little bubble of the physical and the spiritual. That's sort of part of the matrix, or what word do you use? Hologram, maybe. What?
sure.
And that is, I guess, one construct. So after we die, we go back to being a spirit, which is still part of that. It's just
Hmm.
we're existing in non-physical, like the
Hmm.
yin yang thing you're talking about, right?
Hmm.
So then there's being outside of that, which is that nirvana, or is there a bubble outside of that before you get to nirvana?
So just imagine kind of like, here's a good analogy. Imagine like the figure eight,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Each side of the figure eight, one's physicality, one's non-physical, that's the spirit world. The
Mm-hmm.
point in the center is nirvana.
Oh, okay, okay,
Okay, so I don't want to get too esoteric because it's kind of running off thing, but
right.
that's basically it. And the whole concept of eternal sleep is someone from nirvana.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it could take somebody who had incarnated at this time of Earth's ascension to the fifth dimension that came from nirvana that has that frequency because they have remembrance of that high energy. So that's a possibility, and some of those clues are on the temple walls.
Okay.
So we just giving clues, and I'm going to do this really quickly. So the structure of platonic solids that are the makeup of all physical beings. So there's that, and then every human being is an energy being made up of a mandala with a halo around the head and a halo around the body. They've already proven this in science. I've gone through this many times. And then a person's aura field has a level of energy that it emits. So the higher the level of consciousness, the higher the energy field, closer to Buddhahood, and eventually nirvana. So people may look alike, but their energy fields are different. And advanced spiritual civilizations use sonic vibrations to create and seal things, commands, and unlock words. Okay, that's the understanding in Buddhism about advanced civilizations. They've gone beyond the 3D key and lock,
Mm-hmm.
gone straight to voice commands.
You're actually cutting out a little bit, but you're getting to the fact that there voice commands to open
Mm-hmm.
this door that we were looking at.
Exactly. So people experience different parallel realities using their sacred geometric mandala,
Mm-hmm.
and people with the highest Merkabahs affect reality the most. So we've already proven this in science through Maharishi and thousands of meditation research for many decades, that only 1% of high frequency people are needed to split the fifth dimension Earth off into its own parallel reality, which is where the golden age of humanity with interstellar future and with your potential, what you love to call aliens, what everybody loves is aliens, reside. And um, not to break it to you, they look like people. So many of them look like people. So
Surprise!
surprise! No, you know what I always say is once the freak show aspect of aliens, because everybody loves the freak show. Once the freak show aspect is done, and then we get there and they integrate, and you're working with them in jobs, and they possibly could be dating your children and stuff. Are you really going to be that embracive? Because people are always embracive by the freak show until all of a sudden it becomes a part of their everyday, and then they're like, I
Well,
don't know if I was that welcoming.
you know what Michelle and Sherry and I were all talking about separately, but was that what if when our other strands of DNA, the 12 strands, are all activated, because we're all noticing physical changes. I'm noticing some ridges in my forehead that weren't there, and I'm like, what if we just all start to look like different types of beings? I mean, wouldn't that be something?
Yeah. Actually, that they and I put it in my book. I think I put in my book, Buddhist Mandalas, but they done this in light photons. Dr.
Mm-hmm.
Garavi, which is a wave geneticist from Russia,
Hmm.
He shone a green light laser from salamander eggs that he picked up, and he put it into frog eggs, and the frog eggs hatch salamanders. Okay, so he was able to prove through his scientific research that the different frequencies in light will
Yeah.
change the DNA.
Yeah. It
Um,
actually carried it over, carried the
yeah,
information through the light or
the
something. It looks like.
information is through the light. The
Yeah.
information is through the Merkabah and the light, and they repeated this the science experiment with Dr. Zhang Kanjian in China. And what he
Hmm.
did was he passed light from duck eggs, and he took that light that he picked up, the sonic vibration he picked up from duck eggs, and he shone it into 500 chicken eggs. Okay, and what ended up happening was the same exact thing. The 500 chicken eggs, their offspring hatched hybrid duck chicken. So 80% of
Wow.
80% of the chicken eggs were born with flat bills, and 90% had duck eyes instead of chicken eyes, and 25% of the chicken eggs had web feet. So they repeated the same science experiment of taking the light from one DNA energy signature of one species and put it into another similar one, changed it. So you can change your DNA with light, and all of this all of this light frequencies and raising the energy of Earth that we talk about the energy, it is literally affecting us and all the beings on Earth, and it is changing us. How it's changing us, I don't know. But
You were cutting out a little bit. Did you say the sun or the cosmic energy or something? Because
mhm,
I was thinking the
yeah,
same thing. Yeah.
yeah, the sun, the cosmic energy, the Schumann resonance, all that, the electromagnetics, all of that, it's light that has higher frequency energy, and as the Earth raises our energy, it is affecting all of the beings living on planet Earth, and we are changing
And the sun
somehow.
is changing. The
And the
sun is
sun,
it's so much wider now, and it's if they can do it with those eggs and change the DNA, then those codes coming in from the sun could totally be altering us and
oh yeah,
activating us. You know.
yeah, yeah. So we're kind of going through a transformation. Um, and in Buddhism, I like to call them the X-Men of the fifth dimension. I think we did the last interview on Yeshua ben Yosef and the X-Men of the fifth
Yeah.
dimension, but
Yeah.
basically that's in the prophecy is that the people of higher frequency that go into the fifth dimension, into deeper into the fifth dimension parallel reality of Earth, will completely be the tomorrow people in that sci-fi movie, The Tomorrow People,
Yeah.
where it's the or the X-Men, the Tomorrow People with all these six senses and a higher uh, nervous system. So,
Yeah.
and actually, Dr. David R. Hawkins in the Map of Consciousness, he found that out through his kinesiology research, lifetime research, that there's an offshoot of humanity. According to his research, there's an offshoot of humanity that he likes to coin Homospiritus. And it is a highly evolved spiritual race of enlightened humans on planet Earth. And it completely shoots off from the reality of the third dimension on all the lower frequency people. So,
That's amazing. And I think a lot of the kids now are being born with gifts
mhm.
already going on. Already
Yeah,
turned on. Yeah.
turn on. So, anyways, I don't want to get into that because people are going to be like, "Oh my God, it's not on." You're going to get.
It's all
I,
good.
it's all good. You know, you're going to get a lesson that you're going to get, and if you were meant to experience and the joys and the wonders of kindergarten, you're still going to experience that. That does not mean that you're not evolving and you're a bad person if you're not able to keep up with the PhD students. Okay, so it's okay. It's all good. So, anyways, going to the next one. So I just want
um.
yeah. So in sound research, the Sri Yantra symbol that you see here, is translated as the Hindu Sri Yantra in the Vedas. So the
Mm.
Om chant actually has an energy signature that translates to what this looks like. And in sound research, again, when they play in a tonoscope, it formed the perfect Sri Yantra symbol, which signifies the ancient 13,000 years old or older design. It's not man-made. Okay, this is natural in nature. So it shows evidence that there is a divine being or universal consciousness in all beings in physical reality that's designing all of this. So it was
So,
not an
so that was
accident.
created with cymatics right there on the right.
Yep.
Oh
Yep.
wow.
That was created before cymatics in the in tonoscope, where it was this long thing on a sand plate.
Mm-hmm.
That's where what's created. In ancient times, and they still do this in Buddhism, where they would chant a frequency into a singing bowl with water, and then they would quickly draw out the mandala that it portrays. But this is what the translate to. So again, the 432 hertz sound frequency of a human being, which is you, me, and everybody else, is 432 hertz.
Mm-hmm.
Both the 432 hertz and the chant converts into a Sri Yantra symbol. So every human being
Very cool.
every human being is a Sri Yantra, which is 432 hertz frequency. You are your own which means you are the own god and goddesses of your own life.
Yeah, and you can actually see the Merkabah in there
And
too.
you can see the Merkabah. You're creating your own reality, and you're working in the petri dish of everybody else, creating a collective reality. And that's how you have the same creation powers as the universe, that ability, so that you can create, so they can experience your joys and your triumphs through you, which is a gift that you give to them and to yourself. Okay, so it's proven in science. So everyone is energy, and they are the master of their own reality. So everyone is a soul having a human experience for their soul's spiritual growth and amusement. And our bodies, like I said this many times, our bodies are only our sims, but our Merkabahs are the real energy that we carry lifetime after lifetime. And in Merkabahs, they evolve to Christ consciousness and above, or they devolve based on your inner work and your spiritual development. So if you start being a dick tomorrow and every day and causing all of this, harm to people, your Merkabah is going to lower its energy and frequency.
Makes
Okay.
sense.
Yeah, it's a evolving or devolving thing.
So be nice, people.
Be nice, be nice. It's okay. There's more than one way to go down the rabbit hole. There's more than one way. Everybody's gonna go to the spirit world anyway, so you need to stop trying to change everything and be right,
Yeah.
because there's multiple ways down the rabbit hole. Everyone's gonna go to the spirit world. They're gonna learn and have the life review. Whether it's a life review that's positive or negative, they're going to have that. And then for some people, they're going to completely let go of the addiction to creation and playing the games in creation and go to Nirvana and the eternal slumber. So that's fine too. Very few people will go there. Many of them are avatars. Very few people will go there. And because they go there, very few accounts of Nirvana will come out. So you don't really hear so most accounts of Nirvana are documented in the Buddhist tradition, because that's all we work on.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll have a little bit more accounts of that spiritual emptiness, that getting off the wheel of Dharma, reincarnating in one holographic reality to another in this, that we plan in the spirit world, into the physical world, just getting off the complete wheel, getting off the whole game and going to Nirvana. That's what we talk about oftentimes. But if you're not ready to go to do that, it's fine to be in the spirit world and keep playing the game as well. It's all good. So it's
And
just
it sounds boring. Somebody mentioned something about it being boring in Nirvana, and trust me, it's actually quite nice. I've been there once. That I remember.
yeah. See, you Toku. Okay, so your aura field is a Merkabah, people. So here's the website. I know last time everybody was like, "What's that website? What's that website?" It's called Sound Made Visible, and I actually did it. My husband and I did it as well. And basically, the researchers in somatic research found that by playing different frequencies in the form of hertz into a sand plate, it creates sacred geometry patterns that look like Buddhist mandalas or mandalas. And sound frequencies are measured in the form of hertz. Like the German physicist Heinrich Rudolf Hertz discovered sound frequencies in 1887 through radio wave receivers, that electromagnetic waves exist through radio waves, and that's his evidence. that exists. But in honor of his lifetime of work, the measurement of one cycle per second is revered as hertz from his
Right.
name. So each cycle of hertz are standing waves that are flow of sine waves reflecting back at each other, which looks like multiple lines of Pisces, and it starts looking like the flower of life in
Mm-hmm.
2D. Now, I say that because, like I said, the 432 hertz frequency is someone who harmonizes the emotion of the human body. And the makers of Cymoscope, which can image your Merkabah, is done by John Stewart Reed and Eric Larson. And John Stewart Reed, he was an acoustic scientist working in like a UK laboratory.
Mm-hmm.
And Eric Larson is a US based design engineer. And he discovered that the 432 hertz frequency is the frequency of the human voice. Okay. The human voice creates that in image in the last one. So, the universe is so creative in the different ways it expresses itself. But so this engineering duo, they developed this cymoscope technology for semantics that can take anyone's voice and show the sacred geometry that is unique to the DNA blueprint of that person. So now, before I go to the next one, remember we are talking about those chicken eggs and the salmon eggs and changing based on light,
Yeah.
taking the DNA blueprint of light from one egg and putting it into a different species and changing
Mm-hmm.
the physicality of the other species.
Right.
It's the same concept.
Right.
So the mandalas of each human being a unique to them shows their complete energetic DNA blueprint in sound. So it's like the genetic code in relation to sound. So both men and women, to both men, they actually found that the sound research using a cymoscope, which is their technology, that everyone vibrates at 432, that the sacred geometry mandala displayed um, shows that the voice of each person is slightly different, which
Mm-hmm.
makes each of us unique from one another in terms of sound. So no no two snowflakes are the same, no two people's Merkabah are the same. We're all unique. So the tool, what you look at here is you'll see it showing it in a three-dimensional
Mm-hmm.
form. And so sound actually travels in bubbles. Okay,
Right.
your Merkaba is a three-dimensional bubble that's always spinning and moving. And so sound waves is actually not a flat wave. It actually moves in bubbles. And they found this in science. And so your voice is a holographic representation of all that you are and all aspects of your energy field. So again, despite what is taught in colleges, that travel through your ears as waves, it's actually as holographic bubbles. So just to keep that in mind. And in math, the two-dimensional version of mandalas often are depicted in platonic solids, like Metatron's cube is often in platonic solids.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Really, their energy lines connect at the intersection points of nodes. So let me explain it. So you're looking at this image here, okay? Everyone has an aura field, which is your Merkaba. And if you cut it in half like they show here, it looks like platonic solids. It's a two-dimensional view of the inside. But in actuality, if you see those little circles on the image, those are different nodes. And the energy moves through those different nodes, okay? And Buddhists, they believe that the more developed and complex your Merkabahs and the more nodes and clearer the images are where such teachers they have these developed Merkabahs. So all we're doing is just, every experience that we have and every time we evolve our energy, all we're doing is creating more complexity, more nodes, higher energy. So Is that I want to make sure
Very
that was
nice.
clear.
Yeah.
Your Merkabah is a bubble. So here's a quick thing. There's also another way that you can see how developed your Merkabah is. Aside from going to Sound Made Visible and getting your Merkabah image to see physically what it looks like and how complex it is, the map of consciousness, which was developed by David R. Hawkins, and he's a doctor. He practices mental health for a long time. He spent a lot of his life creating the map of consciousness and using kinesiology to measure the energy field of different people. And actually, many Buddhist monasteries, when he was alive, they used to consult with him to measure the energy field of different Toku children, such as the Karmapa and Dalai Lama and other people, so that they can make sure that the monks found the correct reincarnation of a former high frequency monk or person that's come into the tradition to take over and kind of lead and shepherd the way for the next generation. So you can't just use politics to vote yourself into these positions in Buddhism. You actually have to have a high frequency and you have to prove it.
Wouldn't that
And
be
the way
nice to have that in politics?
I know it's like low energy, low energy, low energy, low energy,
They're
high.
demonstrating just the opposite, it seems, these days, doesn't it?
Yeah. Ancient soul, yes. So ancient soul, high energy, high Merkabah, yes. So, but typically, it's funny that you know societies would typically um, pick somebody who has a energy field that is kind of close to their energy field. So, yeah.
That explains a lot.
Yeah. So, anyways, the notable Toku monks of the past in the tradition was Yeshua ben Yosef. And again, appointments are not made through democratic voting, but based on measuring your level of consciousness. So all the monks who meditate in Gamma make sure that they source the right person. They would call David R. Hawkins, can you come and make sure that we pick the right person we think is a high calibrating person? Well, you could do that as well through kinesiology. And again, the note about this that in order to have accurate results, the two people conducting the muscle testing, they need to radiate at least 200 or higher level consciousness. Okay, they need to be integrous, and they also have to believe in God. If they're atheists, what he's found is it doesn't work for some reason. So they have to believe.
Really? That's
Yeah,
interesting.
they have to believe in consciousness. Otherwise, consciousness won't answer your question if you don't believe in it. So that was really funny.
Wow.
So you have to be at least 200 level conscious or higher, which what he found, Dr. David R. Hawkins found, is that 15 to 20% of the world's population. Hold on, my mom jaw walked in.
It's okay.
Well, you have to ask Daddy. I told you this before. I'm almost done. You ask Daddy, he'll get it for you. Thank you. Don't come in again. Anyways, so we're gonna wrap it. We're gonna wrap it
She
up.
sounds adorable.
Yeah, I know. And then Miss leaves the door open so she can scream to the second floor. Um, so she doesn't care about. She's like, you've done so many. I don't care about any of them. um, so, anyways, so 15 to 20% of the world's population, when David Hawkins was alive, currently resided at 200 or higher level consciousness. So about 80% of the world is below 200, which is the level of consciousness that creates wars, that fights, that feuds, that sees everything in third dimensional. So that 15 to 20% of society is actually raising everybody up and keeping them from destroying themselves.
Right.
So,
And what year was that?
that was while he was alive, and he's already passed on.
Okay.
Okay. And so during his lifetime, he calibrated many teachers. He calibrated the Dalai Lama and the Pope John Paul II, and he actually talks about this in his books that both spiritual leaders, they both calibrated about 540. So no one that he calibrated was able to kind of get to 600, because 600, what he found in his research, 600 is the entry point of enlightenment energy.
Hmm.
And anybody who radiates at 600 or above bring lots of pain in their body, because the body can't handle that much energy in the third dimension.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so you get a lot of pain that comes with it. And in his lifetime, he actually talks about in his books that he calibrated and found that there was only 8 people on planet Earth that had 600 above, and they weren't
Mm,
in any religion. They were normal people.
wow.
So that little grandma that's gardening all day, vibrating at 750, you
All
know,
right.
whatever. So the caveat is that Dr. Hawkins asks, again, source, about that, and that's how he found out that there is going to be an offshoot of humanity that he coins Homospiritus, that works on advancing their spiritual development and splits off from the rest into a parallel reality, that it's higher in frequency, and so most of that 15 to 20% actually make it there. So I wouldn't want to be with the 80%.
Oh, I know, but man, that it seems like the world would really go to hell if everybody
Oh
laughed like that.
God, I don't know.
But if that's where
There's a
you were
plan for
vibrating at,
everything.
you would love it, right? It'd be like, oh, this is
Yeah.
so much better now that all those high vibe people are out of here.
The high vibe people. But the high vibe people actually bring the rest of the world with them. They're just going to struggle in the high vibes because they're going to be manifesting out of their worst fears.
Hmm.
And so if they're manifesting out of the worst fears, they're not ready to manifest in the higher dimensions where things manifest faster, things come into fruition faster, because they haven't learned to resolve their third dimensional issues and repress issues,
Yeah.
to be able to manifest positively and more appropriately, and
Hmm.
use the tools appropriately. It's like the difference with children. If you give them a shovel, one person will build a house, another person will beat somebody else with it.
Hmm.
So obviously that child has a low level of consciousness and is not ready to build the house. That one needs to go play in a different sandbox where they still learn not to beat the other kids with the shovel. So it's okay. The universe is very creative in helping everyone at their level of consciousness. But for the
Absolutely.
but for the kids who are working on the PhD and working on building the fifth dimension, it's not necessary to keep them with the lower reality,
Hmm.
because it's just physics. It just light attracts light, energy condenses and goes to where it's going to match. So
And we really do go where we're vibrating, where we're resonant at. It's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah, you just, and I want to mention that Dr. Hawkins was born in 1927 and he died in 2012. So he just died just a few years ago. Wow,
yeah.
he's pretty old.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Another, and Dr. Hawkins, I listened to all his stuff, and I listened to everybody's stuff in this
Hmm.
work to try to find scientific evidence and kind of
Definitely, yeah.
back up. So, he actually talks about coming from the void
Mm.
and coming from Nirvana, and explaining the spiritual emptiness. And he actually describes it exactly, very much like many of the Buddhist monks and nuns who have also had that experience. So he's what you would call toku, an ancient soul from source.
Mm.
So, and there's plenty of those out here as well. So, anyways, another real quick thing note about reaching the higher states of consciousness is that he's found, and many people of higher frequency have found this as well, is that little demonic energies will try to find holes in your character to take you down from reaching
Mm.
Buddhahood or Nirvana. It's actually part of the game.
Yeah.
It's the ego and the final doorway. And although meditation research shows that it takes 1% of humanity to raise the rest of humanity into a higher state of existence, Dr. Hawkins actually found in his research that 3% of humanity is actually working on attaining spiritual enlightenment, and that 3% is actually offsetting the negativity of all of humanity away from a lower dense reality. So we
Oh,
bring
nice.
everybody up. Everybody's coming to the fifth dimension with us, because meditation research shows that it only takes 1%
Hmm.
to affect the greater whole. but Dr. Hawkins found that it's actually gone up to 3%. So it's becoming more trendy to be to work on your Merkabah and work on your spiritual development,
Yeah.
and that's actually bringing everybody up. But
And I've been
again,
seeing it too. People I never thought are seeming to wake up now. So this is an exciting time.
yeah, the caveat is that not everybody wants to stay in the higher dimensions
Hmm.
because they want to continue to live in the third dimensional energy and kind of do the low frequency stuff. And they don't want to create out of the worst fears because they haven't learned to create out of abundance and out of positivity, so they're still working on some basic lessons. So they may be pulled by the storm into the
Hmm.
higher dimensions, but there are many souls that are exiting this reality one way or another. And
Yeah.
I found that in my QHHT hypnosis practice as well. When people try to talk to deceased loved ones and, why did you leave? And they're like, I'm just not ready for that.
Hmm.
It's not that lesson's not for me, but I'm going to cheer you on from the other side.
Right.
That's always the thing that they get in hypnosis when they talk to the deceased loved ones is I'm going to cheer you on from the other side. You're going to make it for us, and we're going to learn from you, and it's so exciting.
Yeah.
So it's a great job, everyone.
Well, a lot of times they can do so much more. I know Dolores Cannon is doing so much more from the other
Mhm.
side now. So I mean, a lot of times they can help out a lot more. You know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Again, many religions do not teach full enlightenment due to being
Hmm.
stuck in third dimensional separatism from source and the rest of humanity. However, many religions can bring you up to a certain point, and then you have to complete the journey elsewhere, oftentimes alone. And so I know everybody in the Mandela effect community kind of feels alone sometimes because there's not that many people in
Hmm.
your circle that kind of relate to shifting from one reality to another, talking about parallel people, talking about different events, all that kind of stuff. So it kind of feels alone sometimes, but at least we have each other here,
Yeah.
and we know we're not local. And I publish books on this, so my name is stamped on it. So
We have each other,
we
guys.
have each other. It's okay. We're the 10 to 15%.
Yeah.
Yeah, kiss the baby. So, anyways, again, locations have unique frequencies which can be used like traveling vortexes as well. So much like longitude and latitude.
Hmm.
So that's another way to measure your energy field. So, what does a DNA voice signature look like if you get it from sound made visible?
Wow, this is yours and your
I
husband's.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. It's my husband and mine. I'm so excited. So I was like, I want to do this. I want to see what my Merkabah looks like. so I got I sent in my voice, and I said my name Vaughn, and then I said ooh, I just sent that, and I did that for about 30 seconds, and I sent in my voice. And what they do is they play your voice into the cymoscope machine, so the modern singing bowl now. They play your voice in the cymoscope machine, and it when they play it, it instantly makes a sacred geometry shape. Okay, and it's gonna change depending on what you say, but it's the same framework. So um, the one you see here, when my voice says my name Vaughn, it makes the shape. Okay. And here's the funny thing. I actually showed it to the monks
Uh,
in my monasteries.
yeah,
That
and
I,
I love the 8 pointed structure in there, like we saw.
oh, I know. They were just laughing because they're like, we knew it. We knew it all along. You're a teacher. And it's funny because, like all growing up, and in the different monasteries and temples that my family would go to here in the Seattle area and across the country when we visit family and friends, and when we go to Laos and we look at the temples that we're commissioning artwork and renovation of, et cetera, et cetera, oftentimes I always had the experience where the senior monks would stop in the middle of chants or what they're doing and let the younger student monks carry on the meditation or chant, and they will look around to see who just walked in. And it was often my family just walking, who would just quietly sit in. And they would say they would try to locate which one in the family has the high Merkabah, has the high energy field that they picked up. And they would notice it's me, and they would say two things to me. They're saying, "Do you want to teach a lesson? Because I'm exhausted." So, and I would say, "No, I'm just a little girl. I don't know anything. I don't have anything to teach anybody." And they're like, "Okay." And
Wow.
then they would say, "No, you're not. No, you're not. You know about the game, and you can teach people." And I said, "I don't know anything." And so my mom would just shrug it off. And they would always just say, "In the spirit world, you are a life planner. You help people plan their lives and the excursions they're going to have when they get born into whatever game they play into." So I'm like, well, that's interesting. I've never heard about that until recently when I was doing Dolores Cannon's QHHT modality through my hypnosis practice. So it was funny because when I got my Merkabah image, what do you see? You see the um, wheel of Dharma in Buddhism. And then if you look at the end of the spokes, it's a lion's head at the end of
Oh my
each
gosh,
spoke.
yeah. Oh
So
my gosh, I see it. That's so wild.
yeah, that is so I was like, and this is from saying Vaughn.
Oh my gosh.
And
So
so
you gotta travel over there. Those doors are gonna fly open for you.
no, I don't think so. I don't think so. I have a different reason for that. So, um, yeah, and I actually pulled up the image of what a female lion looks like. It is exactly that. And then the lines right there, and again, everybody can look up the uh, eight spoke wheel of Dharma and the lines at the end of the spokes. And remember the earlier slides with the clues on the temple decorations that point to a high calibrating energy field Merkabah.
Yeah.
And at the bottom, the entry points, it has the 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 lines at the end. That's what it's referring to. So the thing is that in my Merkabah, the energy fields, it's a 12-fold geometry, which means, like if you remember in the previous slides where everybody's an orb, and
Mm-hmm.
this is just the cut inside, so you can see the inside. It looks like a mandala, but is actually an orb. I have 12 nodes of intersection points where these lines of energy go through, and a 12 node Merkabah for myself makes the wheel of Dharma and the lions at the end of the spoke. So I have all the Buddhist symbols. So the monks, when I showed them, were just laughing because they're like, "We knew it all along, but we were forecasting your potential down the road, not what you are at the time, your potential. We just didn't know that you weren't going to come into your knowledge about this whole game that we're playing until much later in your life." And much of that is in the work that I put into my 3-book series, Buddhist Mandalas. So it explains the scientific understanding of the whole game that we're playing.
So if
So
you had done this like as a child, it would have been completely different then because you hadn't really.
possibly, yeah,
Yeah.
possibly
It's
they had
simpler probably. Similar but
maybe.
simple. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know, I don't know how that necessarily works. But
Well,
so
they're
that,
asking in the chat where to do this, and it's right here on the screen, soundmadevisible.com, if you want to go
mhm,
and see what your Merkaba looks like. This is really
yeah,
cool.
yeah. So on the right is my husband's. Okay, so my husband, he had did EEIOU, and he, just said his name, and they image 4 different versions, and then you pick the version you like,
Mm-hmm.
the one that's clearest or resonates with you, and then the color contrast, and they'll image it. So you could do one with color, or you could do one just kind of solid like he did.
Mm-hmm.
And his actually shows the 12 nodes. So if you count those different, it looks
Yeah,
like
I was
trumpets.
noticing that. Yeah.
Yeah, the trumpets on the ends, those are
Yeah.
12. So
Yeah.
those in a sphere, those are the 12 nodes, and all the lines go through those nodes. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the thing that is interesting is that what they found is that what Simoscope found for all the people that sent in their voice recordings for their DNA voice signature is what they call it, but it's your Merkaba,
Mm-hmm.
your energy signature that's been imaged. What they found is that 10 to 20% of DNA voice signatures are this complex. only 10 to 20%, which kind of falls in line with David R. Hawkins. 15 to 20% of humanity is 200 or above in energy signatures.
Yeah.
So my husband and I, our baseline structure is we're a 12 node sphere. So him and I are really ancient souls that have quite a bit of go around in this game, and we have just continued to just raise our frequency and raise our frequency. We kind of we're not young souls, and like the older your soul or the more spiritually advanced your soul is, the higher your energy field, and you can see it in the complexity of your Merkabahs.
Mm.
So, and I think on another previous interview, we talked about like the funny thing also is that when you get your couples Merkabahs image,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of couples that have been together for a very long time or they really kind of jive with each other, their Merkabahs will be very similar. And this
Mm.
proves my husband and I are equal matches to each other. We're both 12 nodes. So it would be kind of funny if like in the future they start matching people like a matchmaking service based on your
Mm-hmm.
Merkabah. Well, you're 12 nodes, so here's your badge. You're 4 nodes, so here's your lane. you're Here's your 8 node lane. Here's all the people that match your energy field. So it would be
Yeah.
really hilarious. But that's what they found that's very interesting. So my husband's, mine has all the Buddhist symbols in it. That's what I resonate with. And then my husband's has all the musical, all these trumpets and these lines and these different energies. So he's in a band.
Oh, that's right. He's in a band. I forgot. That's right.
And his Merkabah is a musical. It's in a band. So it's hilarious. So of course the musician married the metaphysical Buddhist gal. So it
And
makes
I
sense.
love the little trumpet heads all
Yeah,
pointing
no,
up.
it looks like trumpet heads. It's hilarious.
Broadcasting sound music. That's
hmm
cool.
hmm So, the let me see here. So here's the thing, because you asked a little bit about, well, Vaughn, why don't you just go and say the mantra, open up the vault. I think it's for me to teach, but to
Mm.
allow others to win the lottery. So again, like my whole life, I've been giving winning tickets to casinos, and I try, nothing happens. I give the ticket to somebody else, and they win the prize. you know so if that's taught me anything, that it's just for me to teach, but it's for somebody else to win the lottery. So my Merkabah says that I know the game, which obviously all the contents in Buddhist Mandalas shows the scientific evidence about the game that we all play. So there's the
Right.
knowledge that you can read, and I'm happy to talk about as well. And again, the clues on the temple decorations point to a high calibrating energy field Merkabah.
Mm-hmm.
So you must be at least 600 or higher in the map of consciousness. So we're getting really um, into scales of population that's really small, that's going to have the high frequency. And so like all those yogis and the monks and the people that's tried and failed, they need to get the Merkabah image to see how complex and advanced they are, and they need to get a kinesiology test to see how much energy their Merkabah emits. That's a basic premise to see if you're high enough calibration to try. Otherwise, don't waste your time.
Right.
Okay, because the clues on the temples tell you exactly that.
Yeah.
It needs a high calibrating Merkabah to open those doors. So the game starts by seeing how spiritually advanced you are. So again, uh, get your Merkabah's image and get your energy field measured. So that's the basic.
Silver Moon's asking, is it expensive to do that, or do you get a break for couples or anything?
Um, for one person's, for an individual Merkabah, I think on the website it's 144.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you want to, I think it's almost double that. But I sell jewelry on my website, and so it just basically use my PayPal. For me, it's kind of funny money.
Right,
So,
right, right.
you know, but so yeah,
That's cool.
but it's a great Christmas present for the people in your family that's really spiritual, and they kind of want to know, I've been doing all this work. I want to
Oh
see how
yeah.
advanced I am. I want to see what my Merkabah looks like. And you can image, the engineers at Cymatics said that your DNA voice signature will change over time too. So it can get more complex as you age, or it can devolve as well, which goes into the same thought process that it's ever changing depending on you. So
Mm-hmm.
you can take you can get an image right now and then go through a meditation retreat, do a lot of inner work, blah blah blah. 10 years later, do another one, just kind of go a check-in, kind of like a Merkabah check-in, and see how much has changed.
Wow.
Which is why what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a health assessment 10 years, every 10-year interval.
Yeah.
So, okay, let me go to this one. So the Buddhist symbols are as clues. So I'm bringing this up because you're going to see this in the image of the temple.
Mm-hmm.
So again, you have the wheel of Dharma and lions at the gates. And these are the guardians of the middle path in Buddhism. So the lions are the teachers and the lambs are the students. So if you see in the image here, a Buddhist
Top of
image.
the pillar again, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you see, they have the lambs looking at the wheel of Dharma, and the wheel of Dharma always have the lions.
Yeah.
So, they've been talking about Merkabahs, um, and the Merkabahs of teachers for a very long time in Buddhism, and all the way to the Vedas of Hinduism, and probably even further back into ancient lost civilizations that we don't know about. But we always have sacred geometry decorating these megalithic structures that nobody knows
Mm-hmm.
about until now. So, and again, when when students, I'm just going to paraphrase a couple of things in Buddhism so it can give some ideas. So when students teach what they learn, and then teachers experience what they know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so teachers love learning from students because then they're like, "Oh, I taught really good." And the 12 ninandas, okay, is what we call it. It's the 12 characters that cause reincarnation through the samsara, which is the coming back, playing another game, another round of creation. So remember, I have 12 nodes in my Merkabah, so it's my husband. In Buddhism, that would can be related to the 12 ninandas, the 12 characters that cause you to come back over and over again. So
Mm-hmm.
the philosophies of Buddhist symbols are in my Merkabah, the 12 Nandas, the wheel of Dharma, the lions. It's just hilarious. So,
That's
um,
awesome.
the monks in my temple never saw an image Merkabah, and they were just like tickled fancy to see my Merkabah, and that they were correct, but they saw it in a different way, in a three-dimensional image rather than through meditation. So they were really
Wow.
happy to see that. They learned something new. So again, anyone's Merkabah can evolve or devolve spiritually. And King Asoka, which is a popular king in India, he popularized the lions and the guarding the wheel of Dharma, which became the emblem of India. And the Buddhist symbols of the wheel of Dharma, such as the lions as teachers, the lambs as students, um, and the making of students into teachers, comes from meditation of seeing these symbols in sound. So they saw all of these symbols when they were meditating over the ages, but now we can see them for real.
Mm-hmm.
So they weren't like smoking something. They
Right.
actually saw these symbols in a teacher's Merkabah. So I think, Shane, you need to get your Merkabah image because I think you will have a very fascinating Merkabah.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a great Christmas present.
Yeah.
So the other thing is your Merkaba is your light vessel that travels parallel realities. So remember the image of the Mandela effect statue on the temple walls that many slides earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to refer back to that. And so here's an example of a traditional Buddhist imagery of a highly evolved, high frequency person, or in this case, a teacher, that is traveling between parallel realities from one version of her to another version of her, between one body to another. So, you have the 5,000 hands and the different faces and, yada, yada, yada. So, many master teachers are called Buddhas, and they all talk about how consciousness changes reality, and they all talk about parallel realities. And
Mm-hmm.
all these people have very highly evolved Merkabahs. And they're represented with a 3D portrayal of multidimensionality in the artwork. So this is kind of like ancient times understanding of depicting this concept of Mandela effects.
Yeah.
It's really hard for third dimensional people to get. So it's like falling in love. You can't explain it until you experience it. And then you
Right.
can't unfall in love again. Yeah. So so every Mandela effect, personal Mandela effect, shifts you from one parallel reality to the next, and ultimately further into the fifth dimension with Earth. So don't feel bad for 3D people. Everyone is getting the parallel version with the parallel people that fit them. Okay, so I just want to preface that. So your your family member that is different in this reality, that has a you know different injury than you remember it from the last version of that family member, is still your family member. You're still going to love them
Right.
in whatever version they are at. So at least they exist in this reality. Some people completely lose people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, completely. I had somebody who came in and she's like, I lost my best friend. My best friend doesn't exist in this reality. I have no one to talk to.
Wow.
So that's sad. So I was like, oh, well, maybe she'll pop in. Maybe she'll work on her awakening ascension in that reality and pop in, and then you'll get her back. But
Yeah.
you have other best friends, So sometimes some people, it's very rare, but some people actually even lose people because that person doesn't exist in the reality that they're in. So if you have a parallel version, that's good enough.
Yeah. Well, once one person said there was twins that lived next door, and then all of a sudden it was just one girl. It was a YouTube video I watched, but the family didn't know. They didn't know they were missing anybody, so it was all good.
Yeah. So it was all good. Only have a higher calibrating Merkabah
Mhm.
and you're traveling parallel realities, so between one shift to another.
Yeah.
So this is all
It
ancient
makes sense now.
understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Hindus and the Buddhists and the ancient traditions that speak about your Merkabahs, speak about parallel realities, they're talking about the stuff that we're experiencing now.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not crazy. You're having an experience that very few people had in the past. And these people were so influential and had such high energy and influenced the people around them so much that they're iconic in these traditions. So, but now, instead of being a couple of weird fringe people, we're a collective.
And it's much
Hey,
easier now because of the
yeah, the
energies and stuff.
party.
So we got it. We got it kind of easy on this time around, I
Yeah,
think.
we're doing it as a collective. So
Yeah.
Kuan Yin, the female Buddha, was like, I'm not going to go to Nirvana. I'm going to continue to help people raise their consciousness. And I want to go through Nirvana and go through that doorway as a collective.
Mm-hmm.
This is her vision of a
Yeah.
collective consciousness going to the fifth dimension together. And we all go into the good stuff.
Yeah.
So since everything's infinite and there's really no rush, why
Yeah.
not? so,
Yeah. Exactly.
so here's the thing. So they found this in science, and again, all the science is in Buddhist Mandalas. So Earth's grid is leveling up to the fifth dimension. Okay, and Earth has a consciousness as well. And the Schumann resonance is our scientific measure about Earth raising her energy level to the fifth dimension. So Earth is also made of a sacred geometry, and she is completing her mandala to move into a parallel reality towards the fifth dimension. So she is moving along with the whole universe, because the whole universe is leveling up. And I found this in my QHHT hypnosis sessions as well. The Oversoul says, nope, time's up, no more, time's up, time to evolve, because it's time to evolve. So the Earth is ascending. And whatever level you are at right now, you're going to be pulled by the storm. Those 3% of humanity that's working on this stuff, you're going to be pulled by their energy, whether you like it or not. and which we're actually helping you out. So congratulations, you're lucky. You can work through your inner demons and work on it. And if not, you can exit out if you want to. It's okay. It's okay. So, anyways, things are going to get much more polarizing to test your true resonance, and people will show you who they truly are. Okay, in these higher energies. So by completing the light grid through connecting the vortex points all around the world, it signifies the completion of Metatron's cube for planet Earth. So planet Earth is perfecting her Merkabah, just like we all are, up the higher energies into a fifth dimensional level. So
Yay.
yay! So some people will make it, Others won't. I know Dolores Cannon has talked about this in her work about the new earth and the split. Buddhism and Hinduism has talked about the fifth dimension and going into unity consciousness and our interstellar future. That's the same thing. So I know like Christianity and those traditions have also talked about the golden age of humanity, kind of like what do you call it? Um,
Rapture or the
yeah,
1,000 years. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Talking about the
Hmm.
same thing, but we're just not as dire and grim and dreary as some religions portray it.
Right.
But it's just the split. It's the split. And everyone's going to go to the reality, and they're not going to know any difference. The third dimensional people are not going to know any difference, because they're not working on their awakening and ascension, and they're not leveling up the energy, so they won't really notice a difference in their personal Mandela effects because they don't have those high evolving Merkabahs. But the people who have those high evolving Merkabahs and having their awakening and ascension and working on them will know definitively what their experience is. It's like they know what love is. It's not something that's
Right.
to be studied. So everybody's getting the reality that's perfect for them. So again, no judgment. This is just how energy works. So remember, there are parallel versions of most everyone. So people who radiate at fifth dimension unity consciousness will have an easier time living with spaceship Earth in these higher dimensions, and because everything manifests faster, and their awakening and ascension system symptoms will kind of come up online. The sixth senses will come up online every time she levels up. They're going to level up too with her, and it's going to be wonderful and easy for them to thrive because they know how to use the tools of the fifth dimension. And for people who don't want to use these tools and they keep creating chaos and disaster for themselves because they're living out of fear, and they haven't perfected or worked on those lessons, they're going to exit out one way or another. And that's okay too. So, you know, people, all the others that struggle hard to keep up with the new higher level curriculum, that will be their choice. So they're
Right.
going to get a lower version um, of Earth. And you can go into Dolores Cannon's work for that. You can go into a lot of other traditions for that. Um, since you're infinite, anyways, there's really nothing to fear about the end of one cycle of the Wheel of Dharma because you're going to come back and do it again, anyways. So it's,
Right. And the
it's a
other thing,
game. It's
religion.
a game.
Yeah, religion or Christianity anyway kind of makes it scary because it's the end of the road and it's like that final judgment where eternity you're deciding, this one lifetime or
In
whatever.
one
But
lifetime.
yeah, yeah, but in actuality, it's I feel like from one perspective, if you're going to that higher dimension, of course it looks like hell not to, but from their perspective, it would be like hell to move into those higher frequencies if they're not ready. So really, we go where we're most resonant and where we will be most comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I had a session with somebody who was kind of wondering about the higher dimensions, and he was like, "How come I can't get away with some of the crap I got away with before?" And he's
Yeah.
like, "Well, you're in the higher dimensions now. It's going to bring up all the stuff that doesn't work." And so, like, "Well, I'm not having any fun. I wanted to keep doing that crap." I was like, "Well, you can't. You got to find a healthier way to exist in these higher dimensions because what you are is going to come up. So if you're just putting out crap out there, that's what you're going to get back. Your tax evasion is going to come back to you.
Right.
You can't hide that kind of stuff. It's going to come back. And you're going to have to resolve it. If not, you're going to hate these newer energies and you're not going to thrive and have fun in it because you don't like the way the game has been rewritten.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we can have conversations about that, but it's out of our hands. This is the way it's happening, and the science to prove it. So, again, the definition of a Buddha is one who is awakened. So, Mandela effect. Thank you very much for awakening.
Yeah.
And again, we realize that we live in a holographic reality that is responding to our commands. And again, ascension is to raise your energetic frequency by living the best version of you, and as a result, you positively affect yourself and those around you, and your inner bliss manifests a parallel reality that matches you. So, leveling up your Merkabah into Christ consciousness activates your six senses as you move towards Buddhahood, and eventually if you choose to, cross the final doorway into Nirvana. So again, each time that you change your perspective you have about a subject of any kind, you will likely experience a slight variation in your reality, which is a sign of traveling between parallel realities and parallel people and parallel events. Much like you and I was talking about, whoa, we're in a different COVID reality because the restaurant that we were at
Right.
has always been closed and we were just dining in there. So we're not going to argue with the restaurant owner about her sanity, so that's fine.
Yeah.
So we're being conscious creators, and it requires inner work and your external reality that is agreed on reflections on what is inside. So there's a couple nuggets to take with you guys as we journey through this with your awakening ascension as we tune further into the fifth dimension. So back to the temple.
Oh, this is at nighttime. That's beautiful.
Isn't it pretty? It's completely gold. It's gold cover temple. And when they shine the light on it, it looks really beautiful. So, when I do my QHHT sessions, and again, if everybody wants to kind of get their cheat code for awakening and ascension, you could do BQH to get your soul transcript and how to thrive in the fifth dimension and use these tools positively. Or you can go to dolorescannon.com and find a practitioner. If you're in Seattle, you can find me. There's a lot of different resources and out there to help you with this. So there's more than one way to get down the rabbit hole. But in my sessions, the oversoul in everyone typically says the same thing for the client. So I put it into these words. And the oversoul wants everyone to know that you've always been enough. Use the gifts and the resources all around you to create the life you want to experience. A life full of joy and love. And the spirit world will nudge you through synchronicity. You can do it. So the $1 trillion question, again, for everyone in the spiritual community, in whatever tradition brought you to this point, is do you have the fifth dimension of Merkabah that safely opens up Vault B and a $1 trillion treasure?
That's the question. And gosh, it would cost a lot of money to get over there to see, though,
Yeah, I know, right? So, let me go here. Oh, here's another
we need to
image.
astral travel then, huh?
Oh, yeah, or biolocate.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Awesome. Wonderful presentation. That was so cool.
Much fun. Yeah.
And I got my Merkabah Starseed bracelet on.
There you go. That is really cool.
Celebrating.
That is really cool. So I'm actually going to take a hiatus. I've done like 26 book interviews. I'm going to take a hiatus for a while so I can finish book 2 of Buddhist Mandalas. And just kind of get back, close the doors of reality and get back into my Zen place so I can focus on the book and just focus, because in these higher energies, you just don't have enough time to do anything. So you really have to focus and kind of shut out the noise. So I'm going to go back into the studio and work on book 2 and, and then kind of come out with book 2 and do another round of book 2 and then go back and finish book 3 and then do another round and carry on. But this is a perfect way to end the segment for a little while, is the $1 trillion Merkabah challenge, which I think is just the best treasure hunt in the universe.
Isn't it? Yeah, and I feel like we've got plenty of time to work on it. So,
oh yeah.
So when you get your next book and you're ready to come back, whenever that is, we're always here waiting and excited to hear what you have for us.
Yeah, we'll learn a little bit more about ourselves.
Absolutely. So thank you so much. You guys check out our links below to her book, to her website, to schedule a QHHT session with her if you're in the Seattle area. And we'll have her back soon after she gets her. It's going to be a break from us, but not a break at all. You're going to be busy at work.
Yeah. It'll go by really fast. Before it felt like a month. It'll go by really fast.
Absolutely. So lots of love, light, and unity to each and every one of you. And thanks again, Vaughn, for joining us. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. Be sure to check out the website at uotf.net. There you will find the live stream schedule displayed in your local time right there on the front page. Below that, you'll find links to take the Beyond Quantum Healing course at a discounted rate, purchase our book, Mandela Effect, Friend or Foe, in paperback or ebook, or to contact me to schedule a BQH session. At the top of the site, you'll find links to help support the work I do, access the free private forum where you can discuss organizing get-togethers in your area, Mandela effects, and more. Thank you all so much for being here.